Jeb reviews another one of his $100 pickups on Tiger Direct. We break down everything surrounding HP, including WebOS and their failing PC business. Plus, we take a look at some of AMD's new mobile processors, as well as some AT&T 4G devices that may encourage AT&T users that, hey, 4G might be around the corner. All this week on Gadget Gurus.
Gadget Gurus, episode 63. It's Monday, August 22nd, 2011.
I can't remember what I was watching, but what was it? Oh, it was... How did I come across this? Because I don't watch the Jersey Shore, because that's just the worst show ever. Why are you doing this
to yourself?
Anyway. No, it might have been on Twitter or something. Anyway, some guy...
I was watching Jersey Shore the other day, and...
What is the one? It's like Pauly D or something. I don't know. Anyway, he was... No, not Paula Dean. I don't think she fist pumps very much. But he was saying that when you're fist pumping in the club, you have to punch the air. You have to make sure that you're punching the air. You got to do it with authority. So that's my tip for the week. Make sure that when you fist pump it up, you got to punch the air.
Fist pump it up, punch the air.
So Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
How did your 18 holes of golf go on? Was that that was Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It was okay.
Okay.
After the 9th hole, we stopped and got some food at the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And went back out, and I'm like, I'm completely useless. So.
Okay. All right. So we had some big gadget news, but you've got another one of your $100 pickups.
$100
this week. And the funny thing about this is Tiger Direct's really good about having specials like this. I mean, I've checked them out before. I know that the Tech Buzz, before he switched over to the solution that we use, the multiple Skypes on one computer, he actually used to use machines not exactly like this, but similar to this, the Pentium 4s. They have a decent graphics card in it that allows you to do this kind of stuff. And he would actually use those as Skype machines, and that was always interesting to me, but we had never really had the use case for them exactly. So I've looked at some of these, and they differ. And, like this was a pretty nice one that you picked up. Sometimes that they have, different specs or whatever. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the computer that you picked up at Tiger Direct?
Yeah. So, like Nicholas said, I picked up this computer at TigerDirect.com on their back-to-school 100 gadgets for $100 or less. And here's their website that doesn't work because I don't have... it running here. Let's just get that going real quick. I always forget that part. But like I said, $100, not bad.
Not too bad at all.
Not too bad to do. With the mushy paints. And okay, yeah, I was still on there, right? So this is its product page. This is by IBM. I think it's before they were Lenovo. Yes, if you notice, it is an off-lease product. So it at one time was
leased to someone.
Leased to someone.
Ah.
So yeah, but they refurbished it, all that junk. So whatever, works out pretty well.
So have you actually booted it up and tried out everything?
Not really yet, because I really haven't had time yet. But I figured I'd show it off, all that junk. Yeah. I did turn on the screens the other day.
Oh, how they do?
Pretty nice.
Really?
Pretty nice.
I had to say those were some pretty nice pickups for $100.
And they look pretty good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, without further ado, oh my gosh, this thing's heavy. This is before they forgot to make stuff light. And if I turn it around here, you can see the infamous floppy disk drive. And it's also got a CD-ROM with a DVD player. No DVD burner. I don't even think it can actually burn CDs at all either. But hey, it works for what it is.
Yeah.
$100 out the door, not bad. It's got some This thing's very heavy to hold up.
I know. I picked it up. I was like, looking at it before the show, and I'm like, oh my god! It's like,
This thing is got some USB plugs right here, 2 of them here, a mic and a headphone jack right there. It does have these little buttons here. Lets you open it up.
Okay.
Here, let's do it right here. Oh, jump me in the face. And if you guys are wondering, it's Mia Monday.
Yes. Jeff had just said, let's not forget that.
And he's like, oh, Smoothie will remind us. No, he didn't. So if you open this bad boy up, here in the thing, it's got a little PCI extender card, which you cannot see. But it has the gives you 2 PCI slots, which is pretty cool. I mean, nothing's really, too much PCI. But a lot of stuff on this board is like just pop in and out, so that's kind of nice of them to do that. You can unlock this thing and this whole entire, if you guys aren't familiar with the way the original desktop was, you can take these things out and put it all in there. The processor is right here that you can't see where I'm pointing. It's only got 512 megabytes of RAM, but it's got a Pentium 4 3.
2 is it, I think?
Something like that, 3.2 gigahertz. This one that I'm looking at is actually lower than that, but it's pretty cool. I mean, for a really simple, computer, they upgraded the power supply with one of their newer power supplies.
That's nice.
Because if you notice, it's got SATA power connectors.
Oh, okay. So is that in like an IDE hard drive?
Yeah, IDE, CD-ROM, and hard drive. But,
that's cool.
They took out the power supply and put a new one in there because when this was made, they didn't have SATA stuff. But if we look around on the back, that's nice because you don't have to have any kind of like thing going on there.
Yeah, I
Plus,
do like
you can
that.
also lock this thing somehow where they can't open it up. But it's got 2 serial ports. This was back. This is back in the day when serial ports were used for other things besides communication with serial devices. And it's got a pretty good amount of USB ports. About 6 on the back, and it's got Ethernet, which is always good.
Yeah.
It's not that old, but it still has parallel printer port and VGA out for your video. It also has a line in and headphones out, so that's always good to have a line in that's got all that. It also has a PS2 mouse and keyboard as well.
Which I know some people still use PS2, mouse and keyboard because they like the mouse or whatever. So
it also came with like some like really cheap mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, I noticed it had that in the picture. I didn't.
But I mean, it's fine for $100. I mean, you can't really ask for too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, it works pretty well. It does come with Windows XP, and Windows XP Pro actually.
Really? That's
which
nice.
is pretty nice. I mean, I know you could probably get Windows XP Pro for $100, but
yeah, you're getting
pretty
a computer
good.
with
40 gigabyte hard drive and CD-ROM drive. Like I said, can play DVDs, which is pretty nice. I mean,
yeah,
you could very easily set this thing up like on its side or something. It's actually, I think, designed to sit up this way as well.
Okay.
And the CD-ROM drive has a little catch thing on there and all that.
It's actually a really small form factor PC for like if you think about it when it was made.
Yeah,
like,
and also with this, they have that form factor in there, and I think it's a mini or micro ATX form factor.
Micro.
So hey, if anything, you could also make this into like you could upgrade the motherboard if you wanted to or something.
I like that.
But I mean, who's gonna do that? But because your stuff and all that. But hey, $100, not bad. Comes with XP, like I said, and that's it. XP. I mean, I don't even think it's even like really low. it's not even really loaded on there yet. Like, they just give you a blank hard drive, kind of, and you stick XP in there when you turn it on.
That is cool, though. I like that.
And it doesn't come with any bloatware, of course, so that's always good.
One of the cool things about...
Gosh.
So, I think the cool thing about this thing is what you're actually going to use it for.
Yes. And...
which was the point of the screens, I think, too, right?
Yeah. I'm actually going to be using this for my vinyl cutting stuff. Like I said last week with the string, I'm going to make a devoted vinyl cutting corner of my house.
Which I think is pretty cool.
So, I wanted a computer that was also devoted to just vinyl cutting. That's why I didn't splurge and get some, like, super beasto, you know, computer that I don't need power for. I mean, all it needs to do is just tell out of the USB port what to do. I also like the fact that it has serial output, because I still have my 24-inch vinyl cutter that I originally got that runs off of serial, and it's kind of crappy, but you know, whatever.
If you want to use it,
I might pull it out one day just for fun. I might even take it apart and make something out of it. You never know, because that's the way I like to live my life.
Yeah. In
mystery. But so like I said, tigerdirect.com. This is called the 8183 IBM Think Center, or Century, however you like to pronounce that. But yeah.
Cool thing about this, and I know one of my favorite podcasts, the Linux Action Show, Brian Lunduke, he has
the Linux Action Show.
Yeah. He has a software development company, and they do a pretty big cross-platform. I know it's on Linux. I think it's on Windows too. Anyway, and it allows you to develop applications or whatever. But he uses not exactly this model, but he uses like other quote unquote outdated PCs to test on multiple distros of Linux, and right now I can tell you that this would run the latest version of Ubuntu. Maybe not too well, because they say,
and if you throw a little bit more RAM in there, it could definitely run like 7 or anything. I mean, really. So.
But he uses it for software testing. You could also use it, like, I know a lot of people just like using one dedicated computer. If you don't want to splurge like Jep said and build like a massive computer with like 4 screens or whatever, you can also go with this, because for $100 you couldn't really get a dual graphics card. It would kind of be hard to get a graphics card that has dual outputs.
Yeah, and then you just run them all together.
Yeah, and you could run a server or whatever from your house, like if you want to run an
like
IRC.
What we use over here, you could even run the whatever it's called that we use over here, input director.
Oh yeah.
And be able to control them all with one mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, I know a lot of
that
people
would be wireless on maybe your bigger computer as a server, and then all these are the clients. Yeah. And you could just go in there.
And you can use it for something like a home server. I mean, there's just limitless things you could.
But like, it's got a really robust case, though. I mean, that's what I kind of liked about it. It's pretty stout. I mean, you can pick up like a full tower ATX case now, and it's like nowhere near as heavy as that.
Yeah.
Like, even all the way loaded down with everything you have. I mean, it's just, they just have, it's made out of steel. That's the way it works. So.
But a really good pickup, I mean, it's almost, you have a very good use case, but I mean, you could pick it up $100. You could pick it up for
all day
long.
By the way.
Yeah.
It wasn't just on the deal.
Yeah, that's what happened with the
screens. It's still $100 right now. They're in stock still. And, so you can go on tigerdirect.com right now and buy one for $100, which is not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Just to know that there is a computer out there that's halfway decent. I mean, 40 gig hard drive. If you're not going to be storing stuff on there, and you're not going to be like running too hard of stuff on there, I mean,
Yeah, and you mentioned, you could just use it for a web browsing thing, or what just came in my mind, you could just use it for a chatting computer, running, because I know a lot of people just like, they use a ton of, chat program, or they're in a ton of chat rooms all the time. So they're running one program, but it's got multiple, windows or whatever. So you could do that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. But yeah, I've definitely looked at some of these before. Just for different use cases, and home server comes to mind. Whatever, you could.
It is definitely got a little bit more room for expansion, I guess you could say, and maybe a little bit more power than some of your standard like net tops right
Yeah.
now. If you're not really worried about taking up too much space, but it's a good stackable computer because it doesn't vent out the top or bottom. It vents out the back and the side.
Yeah, I like that.
And so you could definitely stack these up pretty good. Plus, they're pretty heavy, so you're not going to worry about them like falling over and stuff. You can't really do that with a tower. You can't really stack towers on top of each other.
Well,
So you're going to be
like
taking up a lot of floor
Yeah.
space. So in the space that one tower could take, you could stack like 6 of these things.
Yeah.
Which, who's going to spend 600? But, if you're going to do
Whatever,
that,
yeah.
you could. It only has the integrated 10100 Ethernet, no gigabit, but you could definitely get a PCI card that's gigabit Ethernet if you wanted like server capabilities. So, yeah.
Alrighty. Pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and get on to the news. My dad, he follows the stock market and stuff a lot. And HP came out with some pretty bad numbers a couple weeks ago. What is that? Oh, okay. Sorry, never mind. I got distracted.
What is that picture that you have up there that I
yeah.
already put up there? And why isn't it going?
There you go. So HP announced that they were pretty much going to get out of the almost pretty much the consumer electronics business. They're trying to do away with their consumer PC business, and then they also threw all their WebOS hardware to pretty much in the dumps. Now,
Nice.
and we're gonna hit on a topic later. HP saying, "Oh, WebOS, if somebody wants it, we'll sell it to you, and it's not dead or anything, But it comes down to this: HP was the top PC manufacturer for consumer PCs. They have been for about at least 2 or 3 years, and Dell and all those people are always on their heels. But with the acquisition of Compaq, that made them a pretty beefy computer manufacturer. And the thing is, when you're selling computers, I'll go in Best Buy sometimes. They'll have laptop computers. They're like Pentium. The standard Pentium. It's not a Pentium 4, but the ones that they put in the Pentium mobile chip. You can pick one of those up for like $350 sometimes, or like even less than that if they're on special or whatever. Yeah. And honestly, how much of that do you think HP's getting back in their pocket? Not much.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny that the CEO of Dell.
Oh, Michael Dell, yeah.
Yeah, he actually commented. He's like, "So I wonder what HP's new computer line is going to be called, or if the branched out computer line is going to be called." They're like, "Compaq."
Yeah, and they've tried.
They're going all over again.
Hey, you're right. A couple years ago, we've talked about this multiple times with the HP Envy. They tried to hit on kind of what the Macs are. The higher end, they're obviously higher price, and they are better build quality.
And they had that whole what was it called, the HP Studio thing or whatever going on, or personalized. They had that.
Yeah,
personalized.
Dell's done that a lot, but HP tried to get in that game.
Yeah,
too.
they try to get in there, and they had their really big laptops that were had big old bells and whistles and all that, but they just didn't have the history, I guess, or I don't know.
Paul Thurrott.
They're starting to turn into Gateway, basically.
Yeah, you're right. Paul Thurrott made a great statement, I thought, on Twitter. He was on Twitter this week, and he said that HP has never been a very good consumer company. You know how, so many people talk about Apple, they're really good at service. You pay for it in the computer, but in the computer price. But when you have something wrong, they'll help you. They may not, give you a new computer or whatever, but they're willing to help you. And Dell, they've always had a pretty good, upstanding, relationship with their customers. They had Dell is a very consumer-focused company. They are very big in the corporation. Actually, it's kind of funny. About 3 years ago, my dad's corporation switched from Dell to HP, which is really funny now. But anyhow, and just looking at it, HP didn't really have the... I don't know. They just didn't have the chops, I guess you would say. I don't know, to compete with Dell and all these other people. They were selling computers, obviously, but it comes to the point where if you want to sell it low, and Best Buy's got to have a cut of it. If you're selling them at Walmart, they've got to have a cut of it.
See, Dell's got the benefit because, yes, they do have it in stores, but at the same time, you can buy directly from Dell.
And you can from HP, but Dell has... you're right.
They have that customizable, you know... That's what he was originally for to begin with, and I think that's why they're succeeding, because HP's just kind of trying to build their, stuff from other things, so... And
honestly, I've never had a problem with HP. I mean, they were always a pretty decent computer manufacturer for me. We've owned a couple HP computers in the past, and, I mean, they're decent if you're talking about, you know, what other PC other than Dell, you know, like Asus and Acer and everything. I mean, for those consumer people who are, you know, you're going to pay $400, $500 for a computer, they've been pretty good, honestly, you know, not to complain about anything. And they want to focus more on the business market. And that's what a lot of people say, because if you focus on the business market, you can make more focused things, for instance. Like, you can sell more servers, you can put more time into it, and the big thing is you got a huge turnaround because they're buying directly from you. I mean, you know, every once in a while it'll be through, what's that, CDW or whatever that does some distributing. But other than that, like, you can sell more direct to the corporations, and then you can also get that, get the money back. But in the same way, you limit yourself to all those sales. Like, they're going to drop. They probably won't even be in the top 5 anymore for manufacturers. Oh, gosh.
And it does seem like that they did have the printer industry.
Yeah, you're right. They were pretty big.
Like, I mean, Canon had it for a while, and then they kind of slipped out of it a little. They went into, like, cameras and photography and stuff. But HP's kind of, you know, you go up to the store, what do you see the most of in printers? HP's.
Yeah, HP's are options, but for a company that's not, that their forte wasn't printers at first.
Yeah, I mean, they started printers after the fact, so it's kind of like, you know, I remember thinking when they first started printers, I was like, that's weird. What are they? Who does printers like this?
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, they do sell, you know, a relatively, you know, good value printer for the price. You know, you can get a pretty cheap one. Which printers nowadays are just, you know, throw them away if the ink runs out, but whatever.
Yeah. Now I found the story after I bookmarked them, but it's from, this is my next, and they said, HP failed WebOS. What's next for the platform? And I heard and I read that Microsoft is after the WebOS developers, not the designers, but the developers. So, Joe, I don't know if you recall, but the WebOS guys actually came from the iPhone. Like, they were, most of them were forked off from the iPhone, and I don't know. I mean, they're sitting there, they're saying, well, you know, HP's like, honestly, WebOS wasn't for us. You know, we were consumer PC manufacturer, but if you want it, you can have it. And honestly, I mean, does WebOS interest anybody right now? I mean, there's a lot of patents surrounding it, no doubt. Or not a lot, but there is some that you could easily pick them up. But for the right price, somebody will pick it up. But do you think, like, it's a valuable acquisition? Like,
not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, like,
it's one of those.
They're trying to make their own, like, little mobile operating system that's not, you know.
And it was a good operating system, but it did not have the back of. I mean, that's the thing you have to have.
It's
nowadays.
Just you have to have somebody that is big enough to support it, you know. So.
And there's a guy that watches some of our videos, and I think a while back we talked about the HP touchpad, which we're going to hit on in a second. And I think we dogged WebOS a little bit, but it was for the same reasons. There's not the apps there. I mean, you think about it, there's like 500 apps in the App Store or something like that. And iPhone and Apple tried to do that for a while with the App Store being like, you know, not having apps. You know, they started off not with the App Store. That didn't work for them, so now they've got like this big App Store in the Android market not far away. I think you have to have apps to make the any operating system, you know, especially a phone operating system, succeed. So, I don't know, Jeff, you got the story pulled up there. In the U.S. and Canada, no, I don't know if it was Canada or not, but I know in the U.S.,
yeah, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, they're cheap, get them!
$99 for the HP touchpad, and I'm going to say that's a pretty daggum good price, because even if it has...
It's a pretty decent touchpad.
I mean, it was good hardware and everything.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't make it kind of like... They didn't make it too bulky like the Acer Icona or something. Like, that one kind of seemed...
Yeah.
You know?
And I follow Y Combinator on Twitter. They cover startups and everything. They tweeted out this thing, and I retweeted it. There's already a project that has forked off, because HP pretty much, you can do whatever. If you have the knowledge to do it, you can load whatever you want onto the HP touchpad. They've already started writing a Linux kernel that will support Android on the HP touchpad. And I think it's pretty hard to get them right now, but if you can still pick up a $99 HP touchpad, I know that Staples had them, Best Buy, Amazon, a bunch of retailers online and locally had them for $99. And for a 16-gigabyte tablet, can't really beat that. Especially now when you think about, like, the HP touchpad started out at $500, same price as the iPad. So, there you go. I just threw another story in here because it did launch yesterday. AT&T, they launched 2 new devices, the USB Connect Momentum 4G and the mobile hotspot Elevate 4G. Now, these aren't too big stories. It's just new products.
Well, stuff had like this. Sorry.
Except for the fact that they're 4G. And AT&T, I'm sure a lot of people remember when I reviewed my Inspire 4G. It's called 4G, but it runs on their what is it? I always forget this. HSPA Plus network, which isn't 4G. And we've had this debate before. What is 4G? And honestly, it just means 4th generation wireless technology. So you can
people have to link that with a speed now, but it's not. It's that whatever company is doing it, it's their 4th generation of technology.
Exactly. And that's what
it's supposed to be,
everybody. But this is like the LTE stuff. This is what Verizon has now that gets you, like 21 megabits down, or whatever. It's like really fast. I think it's 21 and down and like 10 up or something that you can get. So AT&T has jumped the gun. They've released these things, and that makes me hopeful as an AT&T customer that...
That's kind of weird, though,
What?
It's like a really janky, like...
It looks big. I don't know if
Yeah, I mean, like, for as big as that is, like...
I think the picture might be... I don't know, though.
But I mean, look at the LED
they
and
have
the button.
Yeah. The side's kind of worrying me. I don't know what that is, but...
it's pretty much a hard drive that has, like, a tether built into it.
Yeah. I do like the readout telling you how much data you have, because if you're going to have a data cap, it'd be nice to have that.
$10 for each additional gigabyte.
Yeah, that's how it is on their phones. $50 a month, 5 gigabytes.
I mean, I really wish that, like, people would just get away from that. We're getting to faster and faster and faster internet. Why put data caps on stuff?
But the thing is, we're moving in the exact opposite direction. I totally agree with you, but if you look at it, there's I know Sprint still does their $100 a month for everything, and that's it in the U.S. that does not have a cap.
I mean, like, look at all these other places and stuff. I mean, I understand that, like, some people might put too much money in their technology and maybe they live in poverty. Yeah. Like, not Japan. I'm not saying they're living in poverty, but they do dump a lot of money in technology that might make them not as well in other places. But...
Well, Japan, for instance, people, like... I saw a stat a while back that more people use a smartphone than, like, a majority of the people using smartphones don't even have a home computer.
Computers are pretty expensive over there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, smartphone, they can get pretty decent smartphones over there for relatively cheap. Yeah. And they're all about, like, multiple networks over there. Like, you have a smartphone over there, your smartphone's going to have, like, dual SIM cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, like, you could be on 2 networks at once and have, like, if you had a work phone and a personal phone, it could be one phone, but it have 2 numbers.
Yeah.
But, so, it's just...
Caps really kill me, especially on home connections. I see why there is a possibility that you would need a cap on a wireless network. But at the same time, we're not at that point right now. There's only 20% or less of everyone who, there's only 20% or less of everyone that has a smartphone. And I would venture to say that statistic is actually pretty high. And, I don't think that they're starving. The AT&T is starving right now, and they're like, oh no, our network is crippled. in the Birmingham area, like around here, AT&T's fine. Like, and I know that there's not too many people just sitting there like downloading stuff that have an unlimited connection. So I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of weird, but yeah, it is looking up at least for 4G on AT&T. If you're interested in that, of course, it'll take them a while to roll out to all the cities and everything. So you may not have it for a while where you live, but at least you can buy a device that supports LTE, true 4G, I guess you could call it, or whatever. But so our final story here is AMD refreshes their E and C series Fusion APUs, and it allows DR3 1333 support and better battery life. Now, Jep, we've talked about these Fusion chips before. I think they announced them at CES, and the first batch of them came out in the spring of this year. And HP was one of the first to jump on there and actually support the Fusion chip. And the Fusion chipset is a competitor to the Atom chipset that Intel has. And, you know, honestly, the Atom, it's always been supported by cheap manufacturers, you know, cheap computers like that Nettop. I mean, it does the job, but at the same time, it's really, really slow. Yeah. I mean, there's no debating that. And what the Fusion chip does, it allows you to have a system on a chip. It's got the graphics processor and the CPU on one, you know, chipset. And the cool thing is, it's all bundled. I mean, you can look at that picture there. It's smaller than a quarter. I mean, that's just crazy. So, and you know that keeps you from having like a ton of overheating issues, better battery life, like they said. The cool thing is now it's going to support DDR3 1333. So you're going to get fast memory performance, as well as a decently fast
and
processor.
HDMI 1.4a.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about those is AMD has, you know, because they do their Radeon cards, you know, they have some really high performance graphics cards for mobile and for desktop. So, you know, that's something to look at, especially if you're looking at something like a MacBook Air competitor on the PC side. AMD, maybe this is going to be like something that they can actually push ahead of Intel on one of their processors, since they haven't been able to do that lately. But I'm really excited for the Fusion. I'm going to keep my eyes on it, and we may cover it again on the show. So that's awesome. Alright, guys. So I guess that pretty much does it for this episode of Gadget Gurus. As always, you can follow Jacob on Twitter, twitter.com/Jacob.
Freaking huge.
Freaking huge. FREAKINHUGE. Follow Jacob on Google+, G+. No, let me do your new one. jroberts.me/plus. The plus sign.
There it is.
You can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/ThatNickJones, nickjones.me, and my Google+, g+.to/NickJones. Thank you to everyone who has added me on Google+. I got like 20 ads this week on Google+. I don't even know why. I don't know why anybody's like, you know, wanting to follow me on Google+, but if you want to follow me, hit that up, and really pleased to see everyone coming over from all, you know, Facebook and Twitter and everything. So make sure to follow pbcasttv on Twitter, twitter.com/pbcasttv, pbcasttv.com, youtube.com/pbcasttv. You can find us where all better podcasts are distributed, including I think we even do the Zune. I think we even do the Zune Marketplace. I don't know why we do that, but Blip allows us to do that, so I think I check the box every week. And
check that box.
There you go. So, and you can also download every single version. So we've got an HD version and a smaller format that's SD if you like that as well on our website. So guys, until next time, I'm Nick Jones.
I'm Jacob Roberts.
This has been another episode of Gadget Gurus.